Good afternoon, Rotarians. Welcome to the 16th of September and to this Rotary meeting. As we get underway, I have to say we have a great speaker today, and it's going to be a very interesting program. I can't wait to hear it, but I'll leave that for a few minutes. Let's start with the reflection with Mike George and Rosemary Chabin with the pledge.
Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for the gift of education. Let us remember that this gift, like all gifts from you, is to be shared. The beacon of education should shine brightly on the injustices of this world, to illuminate a path for those who are powerless, and to shine the truth on those who would create distortions. As Rotarians, we must carry the torch of knowledge and truth in all we do, so we may serve others before ourselves. Let us strive to emulate the commitments of Penta Career Center. They are achieving excellence, delivering results, responding to our communities, and creating an environment for success. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike and Rosemary. I would like to thank the Toledo Opera for being our sponsor all of this month. Thank you, Toledo Opera. Jay Secor, where are you? There you are. Okay.
Well,
no
President Tim, we have 4 visiting Rotarians today. And visiting Rotarians, when I call your name, if you'd please stand and remain standing for a welcome from our Rotary President. Now, all the way from the southern part of our state, from Cincinnati, Ohio, we'd like to welcome Dom Lickenbill. Dom, would you please stand? And not as far south, Perrysburg, Ohio, our final 3 Rotary visitors, Ronald Matter, Tom Mackin, and Bob Venzel. Fellas, would you please stand and be recognized? Welcome to Rotary.
Wow, 3 Rotarians from out of town. You know, I've been to many Rotary clubs, and I've been welcomed as a visiting Rotarian many times. I'm sure that's true for all of you. It's very important that we make visiting Rotarians feel welcome. They're one of us, so welcome. I hope you have a great meeting. I would like to invite members to introduce any guests.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Today I have with me John Myers, RE/MAX Realty and Commercial Appraisal.
Welcome, John.
Good afternoon, President Tim and fellow Rotarians. With me today I have Marie Flannery. Marie is the President and CEO of the Fair Housing Center.
Welcome, Marie.
President Tim, fellow Rotarians, today I have with me Zach Mano. He's a AVP Commercial Lender for Genoa Bank.
Welcome, Zach.
Mr. Tim and Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my wife, Judith Conda.
Welcome, Judith. I'm always happy to see spouses come to the club as guests. And it's an important thing to me that we be family friendly, so having family and kids and all that is a great thing. Rick Marshall, you must be out there somewhere. You can gather. I can't see there.
I am here. President Tim. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. Just a reminder of our upcoming annual Zoo Day with Toledo Rotary and the students from Glendale Fieldbach School. It'll take place on Friday, September 27th. Really have plenty of room for more volunteers. Happy to have you. Kind of the way this day looks is you show up in the morning about 9 o'clock or so. You get a T-shirt, get some water, and then we match Rotarians. It's kind of a natural matching process with Rotarians and students from St. Francis who help us with students from Glendale Fieldbach. Basically, you get matched up, you spend the day helping them tour around the zoo, you have a great lunch, and then you're done early afternoon or so. So if you have other Friday activities, you can be on your way. So really encourage you to sign up. You can sign up online for Friday, September 27th, and you won't regret it. It's a terrific experience. So thank you, President Tim. Good.
You think you're going to stand there and get questions, don't you?
I was assuming so.
Well, actually, you've done a great job explaining everything about Zoo Day, and I want to thank you and your Disabilities Committee for all the work that has gone into this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple things going on. On September 25th of September, at 5:30, between 1 and 6:30 at the Toledo Club, we're going to have a new member reception and orientation. So this is open to new members and their spouses. You know, we're trying to be very family friendly. I think that it's a good idea to bring spouses and partners. And they're going to serve hors d'oeuvres and drinks. And we need RSVPs either through the Spoke or the website. Apparently, it's 5 p.m., not 1 p.m. So please come at 5 p.m. The second announcement, and this one, you know, they're all important, but on 9/30, the end of this month, we're going to have a very special recognition program. It's going to be a little different in that the meeting is going to start 15 minutes early. So the meeting, instead of showing up at 12, will show up at 11:45, and the reason for that is it's going to be plated. We're going to be served at the table. We're going to make a very big deal of this because it's a very important thing. We're going to honor 3 great Toledo Rotarians, Dick Anderson, Walt Churchill, and Clint Mock. They've done so much for this club over the years and for the community, and we're going to make it a big deal. So please come at 11:45. This will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to hear what these gentlemen have to say, and I have to talk a little bit more about Clint Mock. Clint is right now, as we speak, at the Swan Creek Rehab. He'll be getting out soon, I understand, but I also am told that he's a little snarly, which means it's a good time for calls and cards and chocolate, the 3 C's. Calls, cards, and chocolate. Speaking of get well cards, we have a card outside. I hope you'll take a few minutes to sign and wish Clint a speedy recovery. Next up, we have Sharon Skilleter, my friend. Sharon is a foundation trustee, and she's going to be making a presentation.
Thank you, President Tim. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. On behalf of the Toledo Rotary Club, it's my pleasure today to present a grant check in the amount of $5,000 to Children's Theater Workshop. This grant is providing funding for Light Up CTW Children's Theater Workshop. Children's Theater Workshop works with students between 3 and 18 years of age, and they are out at the Collingwood Arts Center. And this program allows children who maybe don't get together with other kids that well in school an opportunity to get together with each other and to make connections. Our Youth Services Committee members received the request, participated in the vetting process, and made the decision to recommend grant approval to the club board and foundation trustees. It is due to the countless Toledo Rotarians who give unselfishly, which enables us to provide these grants. Thank you to everyone who continues to support our Toledo Rotary Club Foundation so we can continue to aid in supporting the needs of our community. Really, you should all be very proud of each other because all your contributions make this a great community to live in. At this time, I'd like to invite Miss Amy Reed, the Executive Artistic Director of Children's Theater Workshop, to come to the podium to accept the grant and share a short description of how the $5,000 will help their organization. And I have to tell you, this is a very accomplished young lady. She left her job as a BGSU professor and came and followed her passion of working with children and children in theater. So, Amy?
Good afternoon. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for having me. I'd like to also thank the committee that awarded the Children's Theater Workshop its funds so that we can continue to develop our lighting program. When you think of children's theater, it's easy to think about the kids on the stage, but we have a passionate band of young people who want nothing more than to light up CTW from behind the stage. And thanks to the $5,000 we've received, we were able to buy a dozen new lighting instruments and all of their accoutrements so that our children can design their own shows, learn basic computer programming, coding, and create beautiful theater from behind the sets. Children's Theater Workshop, as they said, reaches children between the ages of 3 and 18, with 350 students to 425 students every year, reaching more than 3,500 audience members. We're pleased to put Toledo Rotary as one of our sponsors for the season, and every time those lights go on, we are announcing that the Toledo Rotary is responsible for helping make that happen. Thank you so much for your generosity, work, and dedication to education.
Thank you, Amy, for all the good work you and your organization do. Touching thousands of people in a good way is what Toledo Rotary strives to do. So you make our community better. Thank you very much. One of the more fun things, actually there's a lot of fun things that go on up here. Some of them are funny, but maybe only to me. In any case, Kathy Tate, would you come to the podium and introduce a new member?
This is one of the fun things.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Fellow Rotarians, I would like to introduce today Sheena Kay. She is by title a photographer. Many of you may remember her as the photographer who was here taking pictures for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, preparing for our upcoming directory that is at print or in progress and will be revealed soon. After meeting and reviewing Sheena's photographs, I invited Sheena to become a member of our club, and if she would consider being our club's official photographer. You know, when we have these events and service projects, we all have our phones out, but I thought it would be great if we had an official photographer, and she said yes. So I'm delighted to tell you that you will see her at many things, and she is playing that role for us. She serves as a photographic specialist in fine art photography. She collaborates with her clients in efforts to produce imagery to meet the needs of fine art in portraits, custom products, advertising campaigns, website, digital marketing, and various initiatives to targeted outcomes. And I think she does a great job. The pictures just of the food and the salad bar, Katie and I both agreed it looked like, it was a 5-star restaurant. And it is great food if any Park Inn staff are in here, but it looked really, really good, so you should use those pictures. Sheena has photographed open heart surgeries, documented political candidates, the Jamie Farr Classic, fashion lines for runway, as well as catalogs. She's been featured in numerous galleries and art shows, won awards, and been published in books, blogs, and magazines. Her eldest daughter attends BGSU, and her youngest is a senior at Perrysburg High School. Her pet peeve is when dishes are mindlessly placed in the dishwasher. I only do that when company's coming, just so you know. Fellow Rotarians, please join me in giving Sheena a warm Rotary welcome.
Sheena, welcome to the world of Rotary. You've just gained 440 new friends. And I have to say, in terms of me, some of the best friends I have in the world are out on the floor here and Rotarians around the world. It's going to be whatever it is you make it, but this is a great way to make friends and feel a commitment to making the world better. Having said that, I have two gifts. The highly prized Blue Book, which tells us all of your new 400 and the names of all of your 440 friends, and this pin, which symbolizes your membership in Rotary. Right this minute, you're the newest Rotarian in the world. Congratulations. Sanford, would you come to the podium, please, and introduce our speaker today? Sanford Lubin.
President Tim, fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure and very much an honor to be able to introduce our guest speaker today. An individual who plays a number of very important roles in our region, including addressing a critical issue that faces our area. The issue involves the significant shortage of skilled labor being experienced by many area businesses. Our speaker is Ron Matter, the superintendent of Penta Career Center, a career technical school for high school and adult students located in Perrysburg Township, as many of you know. Superintendent Matter first joined Penta Career Center in 2005 and initially as the assistant superintendent. He has an extensive career in leadership positions at a number of other school systems in our region prior to accepting the position at Penta. In addition to his responsibilities at Penta Career Center, Superintendent Matter has been involved in quite a few community, regional, and state organizations. I would like to share just a few of the many leadership roles that he has held. Wood County Business Advisory Council, ESC of Lake Erie West Business Advisory Council, the Wood County Workforce Policy Board, Greater Northwest Ohio Tech Prep Consortium Executive Committee, the Northwest Ohio Educational Technology Foundation Governing Board, Buckeye Association of School Administrators, Career Technical Education Committee, where he currently serves as the chair, the Regional Growth Partnership Board of Directors, ProMedica Community Board, Owens Community College Foundation Board. In the interest of time, I will skip the rest of this long list so we don't miss our speaker's talk today. I will mention that Superintendent Matter also is active with the Ohio Association of Career and Technical Superintendents, where he previously served as president of that organization. Our speaker today is originally from Bluffton, Ohio. He's a 1980 graduate of Bowling Green State University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Education, and also in 1988 graduated from the University of Dayton, where he earned a Master of Science in Education. Superintendent Matter resides in Maumee with his wife, Lori, and he has 2 adult children. Please join me in thanking our speaker for his important service to our community and in giving a very warm Rotary welcome to Superintendent Ron Matter.
I don't know if I can live up to all that stuff that Sanford shared about me, but I'll certainly give it a good try. Also, as a Rotarian from Perrysburg, Bob and Nelson and Tom Mackin were all members of the Perrysburg Rotary, and This ain't like what we do in Perrysburg, let me tell you. Gee, this is something else. I've had the privilege of being here as a guest before, so I just have to say it really is an honor to be with you today to address you, the members of the historic Rotary Club of Toledo. Sanford, thank you for that introduction. Greatly appreciated. Tim, great conversation before the meeting today. Looking out over the audience, a lot of friendly faces. Not that all of you aren't friendly, but a lot of individuals that I've known for a number of years. I see Dr. Durant, TPS superintendent, and a great leader here in Toledo, and a great advocate for career tech education and for workforce development in this region. Chuck Stocking, who's been a longtime friend and supporter of Penta Career Center, and a great individual to have good conversation with. Fred Lefevre from 1370 WSPD. Fred is one of the real true champions in the media for what we do at Penta Career Center. And I appreciate Fred being here today, and I look forward to getting back on the show one of these days to talk a little bit more about all the great things we have going on at Penta. Another person I want to give special recognition to, Judith Conda, was introduced earlier. Judith, just give everybody a wave. I know Judith going clear back to my days as a principal at Northwood schools, and the work that Judith did with students and with the Wood County Educational Service Center. And I'm honored that you're here today, and I saw you Friday at an event, and you were chomping at the bit to hear me speak, so I hope I don't disappoint. Yeah. This organization, when I was asked to speak by Gary Corrigan, and with Tim saying 440 members and the new member that has joined today, I just think back of all the individuals that have been seated where you're seated today, that were those influential business and community leaders, the professional leaders, the religious and educational leaders of this greater Toledo region who have been a part of your club's rich history. And then today, looking out across the audience and seeing all of you are those same type of individuals. And I just am impressed of the impact that the Toledo Rotary Club has on the city of Toledo in this region. Whenever I see something in the news of another great project you're supporting, or the work that you do either out front or behind the scenes to support all of the efforts in Toledo, I just want to thank you for all that you do and extend a heartfelt thanks from a fellow Rotarian here out of Perrysburg to what you do here in Toledo. I do have some individuals with me today that I'd like to introduce, some very special guests that are here. Bob Venzel, president of Venzel Communications. Bob works with Penta on all of our marketing that we do. Monica Dansack, our public information coordinator. She's seated at the back to advance the one of two slides that we have for you to see today. Ed Ewers up front. Ed, if you'd stand up. Ed is our assistant superintendent, and Ed will also be the next superintendent at Penta Career Center, as this is my last year, wrapping up 40 years. So we look forward to Ed's leadership at Penta and what that will bring in the next chapter. Then the last person I'd like to recognize with me today is my wife, Lori. Lori, if you could give everybody kind of a wave. Lori and I will be celebrating our 39th wedding anniversary next month. So if you'd help me, give her a round of applause for putting up with me for 39 years. A skilled workforce and the necessary training to achieve that is an important driving force for Toledo, but also across this region, the state of Ohio, and for our entire nation. For Penta Career Center, workforce development is something that has always been of primary importance and our mission focus. We have had the privilege for this, our 55th year, to be an integral part of that ongoing conversation across this region, both at the high school and adult training levels. Please think for a moment about this statement that I'm going to share with you from Alan G. Loofborough. Considering this nationwide shortage of trained manpower, it stands to reason that the parts of our country which do the best job of educating and training young people are going to have the most success in attracting new industry. The Penta County Joint Vocational School, which some of you here helped dedicate yesterday, was one of the deciding factors in our decision to locate our new machining plant in the Toledo area. I can tell you from experience that it is a lot easier to find bricks and mortar today than it is to find the people to man the machines in a complex industrial plant. Wherever an expanding company can find the people it needs, it will bring the bricks, mortar, and machines. Mr. Lupro was a group vice president of powertrain with the Chrysler Corporation, and he made that remark at a regional workforce conference composed of approximately 500 industrialists and educators in Toledo, Ohio, on May 16, 1966, one day after Penta County JVSD was dedicated. That statement made over 50 years ago, if you did not know the context of that, you would think that someone could have just said that within the last few days or the last few months anywhere in Ohio or across this country. We know the challenge about job creation, retention, and workforce development is not just limited to Toledo, Lucas County, Northwest Ohio, or our state. This is truly a nationwide challenge that groups are working on daily to build that competitive advantage over each other as a community, as a county, as a region, or as a state. Recently, the Toledo Chamber and the Regional Growth Partnership, along with a number of their investor partners, have taken up the challenge of attraction and retention of workforce in our region and to also better define and build our competitive advantage. Penta Career Center, along with a number of other individuals in this region, were a part of that important work. And I encourage you to contact the Toledo Chamber in order to learn more about their talent alignment study, which really can be a part of a bigger blueprint for workforce attraction, retention, and training across this region. Economic developer and author Mark Lautman, in his 2011 book, When Boomers Bail, A Community Economic Survival Guide. He tells us in that book that those regions who figure out workforce development to gain the competitive advantage will be the economic development winners. Those who can create and develop a comprehensive plan to train and attract a workforce to retain and add jobs, those who can engage a broad base of the community to have this discussion and generate those ideas and needed change, those are the people and the communities that will see success. The sobering fact is that in 2019, we are still dealing with this workforce development challenge, which continues to be compounded by mounting college debt and rising tuition for post-secondary students, and the ongoing perception and adult belief that the only way to personal and financial success is through a 4-year degree. Parents in every community want their children to be more successful than themselves. Unfortunately, though, adults continue to link all future success and earning potential exclusively to a 4-year degree pathway. According to a 2018 article published by the National Center for Construction Education and Research, 80% of young people ages 18 to 19 expect to earn a bachelor's degree after high school graduation. The most important reason they give to pursue a 4-year degree is that they think this will result in a high-paying job. The article goes on to state only 59% of students entering college will actually earn a degree within 6 years. Think about that for a moment. 80% say they're going to go to college, yet basically 60% takes them 6 years to accumulate that bachelor's degree. What traditionally should have only taken 4 years, all the while they may be accumulating debt. And the reality for those 60% that earn that degree, there are only 33% of the jobs that exist in our economy that require a 4-year degree. Today, more than 44 million Americans have outstanding student loan debt, which has become one of the biggest consumer debt categories in our nation. All told, student debt in the United States now totals more than $1.5 trillion, with an average for the class of 2017 graduates of $37,000. As you look deeper at that student loan debt issue, you should ask yourself, how much of that debt is accumulated from students who have drunked out, flunked out, dropped out, or lifed out of college with no degree or skills to be employable? That, if you think about that, that's going to be a scary number for those people that have went off to get that degree. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, and now they have the debt, but nothing to show for it. As recent as August 16, 2019, the editorial board at The Blade ran an editorial titled, "Building a Career." The thrust of the editorial was to point out that the Toledo area has been booming with building and highway construction for years, but desperately is in need of workers in the skilled trades. In addition, they go on to say this shortage of construction workers stems from the long-standing mantra that to have a successful career, one needs a college degree. Nicholas Wyman, Chief Executive Officer of the Institute for Workplace Skills and Innovation, wrote an article in the January 26th issue of Forbes.com where he stated, "America has been sold on the myth that a four-year degree is the only ticket to a solid future. But in reality, this idea that everyone should pursue a college degree has fueled a glaring problem that is crippling the economy and threatening the very future of the middle class in America. The fact is that today, around 13 million Americans, many with college degrees, are unemployed, and that doesn't include those that are underemployed or they have given up trying to find work, while nearly 5 million jobs remain unfilled. Jobs like advanced manufacturing, electrical trades, jobs in healthcare and cybersecurity, to name a few. Yet, contrary to a popular belief, the solution to this problem, known as the skills gap, does not lie in reforming our traditional higher education system. What the country desperately needs is the middle skilled workers, people with skills developed not in the ivory tower, but through vocational education and training through real-world hands-on work. Now, I didn't tee this up to offend anyone in the room that truly believes a four-year degree is the path to success, because it is a great path to success if you've chosen the right degree, if you're not accumulating debt, and that degree leads to a great job title at the end of that degree. I'm sharing this to point out to all of you, the reality is that if we're going to thrive as a region, we need to change the conversation at our dinner tables and in our schools about the range and availability of education and training options for our young people, both during their high school time and after high school, if we're ever going to meet the current and future workforce needs of this region. For too many of our young people, the dominant message they hear in the media, from their peers, from adult influencers, including their parents, their counselors, their teachers, and coaches, is that a four-year degree is the only path to success. This misconception must change if we are going to thrive as a region and, quite frankly, thrive as a nation. This awareness gap among adults sounds something like this. When we talk to elementary children as adults, we ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Then around middle school, that conversation changes to where do you want to go? And at that time is the beginning of the focus on that default that everyone needs a four-year degree. I've been kind of getting animated sometimes when I say that, and I talk about this linear path that we just push on young people. And somebody thought I was a Florida State fan doing the tomahawk chop, but I said, well, that's not the case. I'm just this linear path that we just push on every student, that if you don't go down that path, as soon as you get that high school diploma, then you're missing the boat. You've got to do that four-year degree path as soon as you graduate. We have to get better as adults at keeping students focused on what they want to be and sharing with them what those paths and options are to connect them to that successful career that they want to pursue. it comes down to what do you want to be and what do you have to do to get there? And keeping it focused on that conversation. College can be a part of that solution, but we just get too engrossed in this thought that when you can stand up in front of your community, and it's a great point, when you can say as a superintendent, 90% of our students on the stage today are going on to get a 4-year degree. But nobody stands on that stage the next year and says, remember that class I was bragging about last year? That 90 is down to about 65 to 70% that are still in school. And I don't give that update 2 years out because that number doesn't keep going up, it keeps going down. That really in 4 years, it's about a third of those students will earn a 4-year degree in 4 years. And that stat I gave you earlier, 60% getting that 4-year degree in 6 years. According to Kevin Fleming in his work, Success in the New Economy, the true ratio of jobs in our economy is 1 to 2 to 7. And this has remained constant for well over 60 years. For every one occupation requiring a master's degree or more, there are 2 professional jobs that require a 4-year university degree and 7 jobs that require a 1-year certificate or up to a 2-year associate's degree. And these are the highly skilled jobs that are in great demand today. This ratio is fundamental in all industries. It was the same in 1950, the same in 1990, and is projected to be the same in 2030 and beyond. Well-intentioned efforts to push high school graduates straight to a 4-year degree will not change the types of jobs that continue to dominate our economy today and into the future. To bring this importance of this ratio into a more local perspective, in May 2019, reporter John Talton of the Seattle Times shared the great news that Toledo, Ohio, was recognized as number 1 in the nation out of 121 metropolitan service areas for opportunity occupations. That is a conclusion from a report created by Kyle Fee and Lisa Nelson of the Cleveland Federal Reserve Bank and Keith Wardrop of the Philadelphia Federal Reserve Bank, as they sought to identify the best places for opportunity jobs. Opportunity jobs are defined as employment accessible to workers without a bachelor's degree and typically paying above the national annual median wage of $37,690, adjusted for regional differences in consumer prices. Talton went on to say, the slogan might be, go Midwest, young people without degrees. Toledo, Ohio leads the top 10 best cities for such opportunity jobs. Placed at your table is a copy of that research about the city of Toledo on one side, and on the back is a copy of Ohio's opportunity occupations. And just if you want to do the math, that $37,690 works out to over $18 per hour. Because of this fantastic recognition for Toledo, I had the opportunity in mid-August to represent Penta Career Center and to be a part of a documentary film that was sponsored by the Federal Reserve. They came to Toledo wanting to interview students in these, well, I call them students because they're still our students, but interview adults that are in these opportunity occupations. And we had several Penta students interviewed. There were some TPS students interviewed. And we look forward to the release of that documentary film that's going to highlight even more the various training programs and options for young people. And these programs are supporting the workforce needs related to these opportunity occupations. Another effort to change perceptions and to promote alternative pathways to develop a larger and more qualified and sustainable talent pool for the region has been the creation of a regional marketing campaign involving Penta Career Center, Toledo Public Schools, Washington Local Schools, Oregon City, and Sylvania City Schools. The Career Tech leaders in each of these districts have been working together to develop this campaign called CTE Connects to attract students across the greater Toledo area towards Career Tech education and to direct the public to learn more about CTE and the career opportunities available through that. And at your table also is a flyer about that CTE Connects regional marketing plan. In the end, it really is about changing adult conversations with young people from that four-year degree is the only pathway to success to something more along these lines of questions that as adults we ought to be engaged with young people. What is it you think you want to do? What are the future employment and earning prospects for what you want to do? What training or education do you need to get there? What is the cost of that education or training? How will you pay for that education or training? Where can you get that training or education to get to where you want to be? And most importantly, will there be a job here in Toledo, in Lucas County, in Northwest Ohio, when you complete that education and training? This workforce and economic development challenge for our region is about changing that conversation and then finding and striking the right balance for what needs to be an all-of-the-above solution to solve our workforce needs in the region. And those workforce needs are around attracting workforce, retaining workforce, training workforce, and retraining workers. We can achieve this paradigm shift in workforce training by doing the following. Number one, addressing head-on that adult awareness gap. Number two, providing well-planned pathways for students and adults to access training opportunities. Number three, encourage students and adults to take advantage of those training opportunities at the appropriate institution. Number four, depending on that student's future plans, though that training could be taking place through a career tech option in high school programming offered at Penta, TPS, Washington Local, Oregon, or Sylvania schools. For adults, those options can be through an adult post-secondary training program at an Ohio Technical Center like Penta Career Center. You can also get that training at any one of the great community colleges in our region like Owens, Northwest State, or Terra Community College. Or if that path you're taking really requires a four-year degree, again, we've got great institutions here, the University of Toledo, Bowling Green State University, and Lourdes. If we do this, we can improve our region's chances for sustainability and success. Unfortunately, it is a slow process. Sometimes we sit around tables and all we do is just keep admiring the problem. So we have to get better at not admiring the problem and actually doing something about it, because if we aren't engaged in this conversation, other communities, other counties, other regions, other states that are having these conversations are going to figure this out, and we're going to be left behind. I'm going to leave you this afternoon with the following quote. We must find jobs and employment for our young people who are entering the labor market. This is a duty for every elected Democrat and every elected Republican. We must create a climate for business and industry to remain here and come here. This is our finest hour in higher and secondary education in our state. Technical and vocational education must reach everybody in the state, and Penta County is blazing the trail to reach this goal. I took you in the Wayback Time Machine at the beginning of my remarks, and I'm taking you there again here at the end. Those remarks were part of a speech given by Governor James A. Rhodes on May 15, 1966, at the dedication ceremony for Penta County Joint Vocational School District upon completion of our first year of operation, as well as the first year of operation for Penta County Technical College, which today we know as Owens Community College. This quote from more than 50 years ago is just as relevant today as it was back then. That same statement could be made by Governor DeWine or any elected official in Ohio. Therefore, the challenge of workforce training and development and growing good jobs, unfortunately, is still with us in 2019. I ask each of you in the audience today to become more engaged in this conversation and idea sharing. I believe that as the City of Toledo, Lucas County, and our Northwest Ohio region continues to be one of those success stories, our current and future generations of workers and the employers will be the beneficiaries of that. And in the end, our region will have a competitive advantage because we will be that economic development winner when our boomers bail. Thank you again to the Rotary Club of Toledo for this opportunity to be with you and share these remarks. Thank you very much. Tim said there's time for questions, plus I didn't see the hook come out, so if you've got some questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Could you comment on the relative cost between, say, the four-year college and going to the technical schools when the student's looking at cost?
Well, I believe Bowling Green State University this year is around $18,000 or more, and I don't think that includes a meal plan with that. Students coming to Penta Career Center, TPS Career Tech Training, any of those that I mentioned, that training, there is literally no cost for those students in high school. I just read an article this morning that was talking about workforce, and one of the points in the article they said about going pro early, meaning getting a job right out of high school with an employer. An example we talk about with some of the employers in Wood County that are looking to fill big numbers of jobs. And we tell them, when you're talking with students and their parents, talk to them not about tuition reimbursement to come and work at your company, but talk about a scholarship, that if you come and work at our company and you're maybe starting out at $14, $15 an hour, and you tell that HR person, hey, I really want to get a degree in accounting. That HR person says, wow, we hire 5 accountants a year. Why not grow your own, scholarship those individuals to get that degree that you know you can plug and play that individual into your organization? So at a 2-year institution, I'm thinking it's around $7,000 a year. But again, the cost benefit of the 4-year degree, if you don't have to pay for it, that's a different story. But if you're walking out with debt, so that $37,000 a year on a simple interest 10-year loan is probably going to be about $370 a month. And I interact with people that tell me they have college debt of $100,000 or more. That's a house payment every month to pay for that college loan. Yes, sir.
I just remember 40 years ago working in the plant, and there were people out there working with me from Penta, and it was kind of like, it was OWE, I believe. And they were impressive people, and they did fine after they graduated. And my question is, if you look back all the way to 40 years, what are the statistics saying about what the graduates have done, their placement, and just the same kind of statistics you shared about college?
Our placement rate typically, and we have to monitor our students after they graduate. We have to do a 1-year follow-up with our students, and we typically average over a 98% placement rate. That means that student is either employed, in the military, earning additional credentials, or enrolled in post-secondary or in an apprenticeship program. And I'm always amazed when I run into individuals out in the community that are alumni of Penta, but also Macomber High School. Dr. Durant, I enjoy talking with alumni from Macomber, and those are individuals that really helped build this city and build a lot of the facilities and design things around here. They're those skilled tradespeople that were the backbone of this community. So our success rate for students when they leave, we would not take a back seat to anybody on that. Yes, sir.
Bob Savage. I think, as you well know, there's an initiative being pushed around the state for 65% attainment, to have at least 65% of our adults have completed some sort of post-secondary certificate, college, whatever program. And Penta plays a critical role especially in our community. I think Penta is well understood, at least in some facets by some, and maybe not as well understood as others. Actually, to your credit today, you did not make your presentation a presentation about Penta, which, to be honest, I probably can't say for everybody who gets up at our podium here. Could you explain what Penta covers from the high school to college or certificate along that spectrum? I admitted even I would get part of that answer right, but not 100% there.
At Penta, we have 27 full-time programs. We have sophomore exploratory that students can come out their sophomore year if they think, hey, that's where I want to be. We have 7 different exploratory labs for those students. And on the adult side, we have 6 training programs with industry credentials. And I've heard Chancellor Gardner talk about this, and he's right. We can't get to that 65% by just relying on high school students earning credentials. Last year's senior class at Penta Career Center earned over 1,400 industry credentials during their time at Penta. That's a big focus of ours, whether those are specific to one industry or large, broader types of credentials like ServSafe and ProStart, or AWS welding credentials, or OSHA certifications, or any types of IT credentials our students earn. But on the adult side, one of our biggest challenges is the cost of that training for individuals if they don't qualify for a Pell loan or a Pell grant. That's self-payer. We are not a lending institution. We're not into loan collection to say, Tim, we'll let you come here and you pay us $100 a month. We don't want to be into that. And so that's a challenge for adults to access those training programs. And I'm excited to say, Dr. Durant, we have a meeting with some of our staff. We'll be meeting, is that this week or next week? This week with some of the leadership at TPS to see where Penta and TPS could partner on some adult training programs here in the city of Toledo. Transportation continues to be a challenge besides being able to afford the training programs. And one of our full-time programs, which is over 600 hours, Monday through Thursday from August through May, that's going to cost you around $6,000. But that's going from 4:30 at night until 10 o'clock at night, 4 days a week, and really getting in there and learning that skilled trade, whatever it is that you're looking to either upskill yourself or to be able to enter into the job market. I mean, one of the challenges we face on the adult side, we have 16 districts that we serve. And when our adult staff tries to connect with those high school counselors, hey, can we come out and talk with your seniors that haven't got a college plan yet or haven't decided what they're doing? And unfortunately, the message we get in the majority of requests like that, no, you don't need to come out because all of our kids are going off to school. They know what they're doing. Or send us the literature and we'll give it to those kids that we think need that. Because again, it's that default, linear, everybody's got to get a 4-year degree because if you don't have that, you're not going to be successful. And I've got bachelor's, I've got a master's, I got beyond a master's. This isn't anti-degree. This is going with a purpose. If you're sending a son or daughter off to college to figure out what they want to do, that's an expensive field trip for your family, for that son or daughter. And when I said about drunking out, flunking out, dropping out, lifing out, that's the reality. Some kids, it just isn't the right time for them to go off to college. They need a little bit more maturity. Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have a son who just turned 30 who finally graduated from college, and it took him a while to find his way and figure out what he wanted to do. So I appreciate that. Vocational school, vocational education is so important. I was a beneficiary of that, early in my career when I got an associate's degree to be a paralegal, for example. But my question is, your point is well taken about, a lot of us in this room are reaching an age where we have kind of an obligation to raise up the next generation, who's going to continue our work and continue, these are the folks that are going to be running the world. My question is, a 4-year degree, one of the things that hopefully it accomplishes is teaching folks, humanities, the liberal arts, things like that. Not because those things are necessarily important in and of themselves, but because they're important to developing a worldview and certain analytical thinking skills, things like that. So what does vocational education do to kind of bridge that gap between strict career training and helping folks develop that worldview that will be so necessary down the road?
Well, we have our students engaged in what are called Career Tech Student Organizations, CTSOs, Business Professionals of America, FFA, DECA, Skills USA, HOSA, which is Health Occupation Skills of America. Those types of student organizations are focused on leadership building. They're focused on community service, exactly what you're talking about with those young people. And again, for us, they're getting that for free while they're at Penta Career Center. And they have options at the post-secondary level that all of those organizations have collegiate or post-secondary opportunities. If you're continuing your training, you can stay engaged in those types of activities. And we have kids compete at the local, regional, state, and national level. We had a national champion in HOSA last year from Springfield High School. We celebrate those successes and those leadership and community service opportunities that are created through that.
Thank you.
Last question. The hook has come out.
Really, mine are more comments than questions. But first of all, incidentally, your talk about the timeline, I was recently having a discussion with a Sylvania Rotary member, and she's a young mother, and she was discussing the idea of what do you want to be when you grow up? She promotes doctor, lawyer, firefighter, policeman, and we were discussing the idea of changing the perception. Why aren't you saying you can be a plumber, you can be an electrician, HVAC, all those kinds of situations? So I applaud you in your efforts to get the noise out of the way and discuss other alternatives. Secondarily, the Vocational Services Committee is attempting to put together a program for Vocational Services Month, which is January 2020, and we're trying to get Mr. Savage, wherever you are, some names in order to promote this exact subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Just your first comment. What was that again, your first comment? Oh, about changing the conversation. How many of you call a plumber? How many of you get upset when you look at the bill that you paid $150 or $200? Now, how is that not a good wage that we don't bat an eye if we pay some other professional that same amount? Just changing the conversation with our kids is critical, and I hope you'll join me on this conversation and join others around this region. Thank you very much.
Wow. Talk about a kitchen table topic. That hits home, whether you're an employer, a parent, a grandparent, or just a citizen. That's a very important subject, and well done. In recognition of the fine job that you just did, we have a book about the history of Toledo, and I know you're a Rotarian from Perrysburg. We are going to make a Polio Plus contribution in your name, and thanks for coming here.
Thank you very much.
Next week, basketball fans, the University of Toledo basketball coaches will be here. That's Tom Kowalczyk and Tricia Kollup, respectively from the men's team and the women's team. They'll be here as our speakers. I know you'll want to be here for that. We have 3 meetings today. Vocational Services is meeting in Presque Isle, wherever Kurt is. I'm sure you'll talk about that today, this presentation today. Youth Services is meeting in North Cape, and Community Services is at the Board of Governors room behind us. Chuck Mann, you must be here today. There you are.
You'll want to watch your step when you leave here today. There are rhinestones all over the floor. I think it was a Unicorn Fanciers convention maybe over the weekend, but just be careful of that. If you're a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, take a deep breath when you check your email after the meeting. He's out for the season. Questions and answers selected from tests in Springdale, Arkansas, to 16-year-old students. Name the 4 seasons: salt, pepper, mustard, and vinegar. Explain one of the processes by which water can be made safe to drink. Answer: flirtation makes water safe to drink because it removes large pollutants like grit, sand, and dead sheep. What are steroids? Steroids are things that keep carpets still on the stairs. What happens to a boy when he reaches puberty? He says goodbye to his boyhood and looks forward to his adultery. How can you delay milk turning sour? Keep it in the cow. What is a seizure? Answer: a Roman emperor. What does the word benign mean? Benign is what you will be after you be ate. And finally, what is a Hindu? It lays eggs.
Okay, thank you very much, Chuck. Amy, congratulations on all the work you've done and the presentation, the money that we provided. We're proud of you for that. Sheena, I hope you enjoy your 400-plus new friends, and welcome to the world of Rotary. All the guests and visitors, welcome. I hope you had a good time. And we got some guy out here named Fred Lefevre who's been doing a great job highlighting what Rotary does on his show on WSPD. Fred, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the program, and we are adjourned.